What's going on, guys? Spartan Willie here, and welcome back to our Alfa Romeo Motorsport Manager F1 2021 Manager Mod mini-series. So I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Today our journey with rebuilding Alfa Romeo will continue on here for episode 2. Before we get into the swing of things, I just want to say a big thank you to Java, Jose and Royman for commenting in the last video. It's awesome to have a bit of feedback on the series as well. It was all good feedback. The video got plenty of views, plenty of likes, so I think we're a fan of the new format, and I watched the video a couple times and I gotta say I'm a big fan of the format too. It's just something a bit different. Obviously, an episode of race, you don't get to go into the details, the nitty gritty of the series always, apart from the parts and stuff. But yeah, we've already had a request to go look at all the driver abilities and stuff because we are 3 seasons in now. So that is an interesting aspect to have a look. So we're going to have a look at that in this very video because we've got time, because you don't have to try and fit an entire race Grand Prix weekend into one video. But let's get into it. Okay, so I guess the best way to look at all the drivers is just go through this team tab and scroll through. You see their abilities. If you want more in-depth information about all their stats, maybe we can get into that in another video just for certain drivers. But basically for McLaren, obviously they have Piastri, who's got very good ratings. That would explain why he's winning every race. And Lando Norris as well. To be fair, Piastri's been up here for a couple of years now. De Vries in that 3rd seat, just making up the numbers. Even that being said, he could drive for a lot of Formula 1 teams in this save, I reckon, with that ability. Next up, we got Mercedes with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's still 5 stars, hasn't been quite 5-star this season. Russell almost 5 stars. He's been the #1 driver. He's been the main competitor really to Piastri's absolute dominance. And then we got this Swedish geezer making up the numbers with a decent overall, to be fair. Next up, Red Bull, Max Verstappen and obviously Daniel Ricciardo. Haven't seen much of them in the top sort of finishing spots, but getting on in age a bit. Ricciardo 34 and Hulkenberg, again, a decent rating for some top seats in the division, not just the reserve. Next up, Ferrari, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, still got a bit of way to go, but at 29, I don't know if he'll fulfill that potential. He hasn't quite developed as much as he'd want to, and Perez still hasn't fully recovered from that injury. So I think Ferrari, you know, 2 of their drivers are getting on a bit now. Leclerc is still an absolute beast. They would probably want to keep him as long as they possibly can, really. And I don't really see Leclerc driving for anyone else now. He's sort of a Ferrari boy through and through. Onto Alpine, obviously they got Ocon and Gasly in the save. Decent drivers, 4 stars. I think it's been a bit overpowered with some of the younger drivers, like in the low 20s, like Piastri. All those guys just get a massive boost to their stats. I think Liam Lawson's got awesome stats too. These two don't quite get that same boost in stats. Maybe we can do it in the save game editor. But yeah, that's Alpine. Fittipaldi's their reserve driver. Still got a bit of potential to follow through with, and obviously we know our drivers pretty well. Pretty happy with our drivers. Again, see that the boost you get the younger drivers get in this mod. It's quite a lot. But under Aston Martin, Sebastian Vettel, 3.5 stars. He's deteriorated quite a bit on the ability scale. Lance Stroll, 4 and a bit stars. I think he's maybe could get a bit better than that. I don't know. It depends. I don't know how much they grow outside of that potential. But Danny Kvyat, he's just sort of there, make up the numbers. But 3 stars. Honestly, a lot of drivers are better than Sebastian Vettel now. I think Hulkenberg put in a shift here. But yeah, anyway, he's still on the grid, so good on him. Next up, we've got Williams, Pascal Wehrlein, and I do a bit of a soft spot for him because I did do a 5 fantasy mod back before I started YouTube. I played with Audi Sport in F2. My drivers were him and Nico Rosberg, and we got up to Formula 1. It was a lot of fun, that save. I'm looking forward to playing 5 fantasy again, but that's to come on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And Callum Arlott, who hasn't quite had a good, I think he'd want to be in F1 a bit longer than what he has been. At 24, he's getting on a bit, well, not really. 24 is very young, and I guess he could develop well into your high 20s, but he's 3.5 stars, so one of the worst drivers ability-wise on the grid. I'm surprised they haven't switched him out for Alex Albon, but good on him, sticking with it. AlphaTauri, Yuki Tsunoda, driver of the year last season, and look at Liam Lawson. That is insane. I don't know how he's boosted so much, but he's 4.5 stars. And Yuki is just, I think, just over 4, or maybe that's his potential, but he's 4 stars. Aitken, he's just making up the numbers in that reserve drive with 3 stars, just in case one of these boys gets injured. And then rounding off the Formula 1 grid with Prema, Theo, 4.5 stars at 19. That is insane. He should probably get a drive at, I don't know, Ferrari. Maybe he can be alongside Leclerc next season. Maybe we can make that happen. But anyway, we won't try and spoil anything next season. But Mick Schumacher, I mean, he's really the guy for the Ferrari driver, isn't he? Not quite as good as Theo, but he's got to be at Ferrari at some point in his career. Now in Formula 2, I'm just going to quickly go through these ones, and we may as well go through Formula 3 as well. But we've gone through the main ones on Formula 1, so we're just going to flick through them. You might see some names that pop up, but a lot of the teams will just have like the World Endurance guys that the game tries to sign on the Formula 1, and then I've switched them out for drivers that are in Formula 2. And obviously the older guys are still in Formula 2 because, you know, I like to keep it a bit more realistic. Like I say, I don't try and hide the fact that I used the save game editor to make these transfers just to create a bit of storyline. There's a little disclaimer in the description of every video, along with a download link to get the save game editor and how to use it. I got a video on that as well. But these are all Jude Duhan. Got a bit of soft spot for him if you watch our Spartan Racing series. And Logan as well, another great talent. He won a couple races for us, I think, but that's all. Stoffel Van Dorn's there as well, old face from Formula 1. But yeah, that's all the drivers. If you'd like for me to get into some other series, I'm more than happy. Just leave any comments down below on anything else you want to see as well. But let's get back to our races. Okay, so first race of the episode was in Baku, and Oscar Piastri won again. This is getting a bit ridiculous now at the top end, but 15th and 20th, we cannot worry about the top half when we're down here. That was a terrible race for us pace-wise. We were so off the pace. We had 2 pit crew mistakes at 7%, and now big ones too. I think Leclerc's was 5-second mistake, and Schwartzman was, I think 3. So massive pit crew mistakes where I really didn't think the risk level warranted a bigger mistake that big. But anyway, Schwartzman finished in front of Lawson, which is not too bad, but yeah, just not overly the best race. As I said, the mediums went all the way to the last 9 laps, so Baku is always a different kind of race, but you know, we can only go up from here really, especially for Leclerc, who's rock bottom. Okay, so we're on the first screen at Istanbul Park there, Schwartzman up in 12th and Leclerc in 16th, so we did just put a new engine on the car. And we're already seeing the results straight away. Leclerc took Schwartzman's spot, and Schwartzman's now closer to the points than not the points, which is, I mean, well, that doesn't make sense, but closer to the points than the bottom. That's what I was trying to say. We did actually make it in a Q2 with Schwartzman as well. We obviously have the superior strategy with making the double softs work. On the one stop, we still haven't got light-footed unlocked for each of our mechanics, probably because we're not getting that good of results. The morale on the team's also pretty low, but you know, it only goes up from here really. Okay, so for the Ricard GP, we have our 3rd different winner for the season. Obviously Piastri dominated the first, I think, 6 races, but I forgot to mention last time out, you probably saw it on the screen, Verstappen won Istanbul. Now we've got Russell winning Paul Ricard. Piastri still in 2nd in both those races, so he's either got 1st or 2nd the first day races, but good to see that dominance broken up a little bit. But we got 13th with Leclerc and 15th with Schwartzman. I believe that's the first time Leclerc has finished above Schwartzman, but Schwartzman had a terrible start, dropped to the back of the grid, and once you have a bad start in this game, as you know, that's it. So basically he did okay to get back up to 15. Leclerc was happy with that result in 13th. I'm happy with that result. His car is nowhere near competitive really. Schwartzman was disappointed 15th, and really we should really be pushing 12th and a bit higher, but like I said, bad start. We write this one off, on to the next one. So the Red Bull Ring was quite the success. It was a rainy Red Bull Ring, as you can tell on the top right there. George Russell wins his 2nd race in a row. Daniel Ricciardo's on the podium. 2 Australians on the podium. I wonder if that's ever happened before in F1 or when the last time was. But Schwartzman, we got points this weekend. 2 points. Leclerc was in the points for so long. As you can see, our pit stops compared to everyone else below us is less, either by 1 stop or 2 stops. A couple of people did 4 stops, which obviously isn't very quick. Lando right at the end there even did a stop for 2 laps, a stint of 2 laps. Hamilton, we finished behind him, so you know, we got a bit of pace there. We helped out with the strategy in the rain. It was just sort of like a half-time interperiod, so it was pretty easy to navigate for us. But you know, the AI, sometimes they make way too many pit stops. But yeah, decent result at the Red Bull Ring. The iconic Silverstone GP is over, and George Russell has won his home race, so congratulations to him. Makes it a hat-trick, so he is replying to Oscar Piastri's streak of his own. And Max Verstappen, our other race winner of the season, got 2nd. But in even better news, we pick up another 4 points in a crash-heavy race. Schwartzman was running in, I think, 9th, and then we had Leclerc crash out. Before that, we had Norris, Ricciardo, and least importantly Wehrlein, because I think we would have finished in front of him anyway. But Prema did pick up the first 2 points this weekend, so every single team has picked up at least 1 point this season now. Okay, so another 5 races down. We're 10 races through this championship. Next up, we've got the Hungary ring for the 11th race of the season. And as you see, that Schwarzman's in 10th place with 17 points. Leclerc's yet to score a point, but to be fair, our car is bad enough as it is, let alone our second car. But we are 6th on the constructors, some way off Alpine, and Aston Martin always feel like a one good result away. Same with Williams, but I'm more comfortable with Williams than Aston Martin. But to be honest, we're doing much better than I thought we'd be doing. I mean, the championship fight's quite interesting too. 6 wins, 3 wins, 1 win. But McLaren are in a good run of form, especially Russell. Look, there's only 31 points between him and Piastri now. So this season is heating up nicely. In terms of where the car is at, it's much better. We're up to 6th place. Of course, it was second last 10 races ago, up to 6th, which is where our standings are. Still worst engine on grid, but 6th on gearbox. We've only built 1 gearbox all season, so that's not too bad. Went from worst on grid to 6th. Brakes, we've got a good set of brakes in the car now in 5th. We're building a new sick front wing, so I'm expecting us to propel our way up this standing as well from 7th. And then suspension, we're only built 1 of them, so 7th is not bad at all. And high speed corners, we're still 3rd, so we've held 3rd place despite going through 5 races without building a new one. So the car is coming across nicely indeed, but we do need a new engine pretty soon to try and propel ourselves up the grid. So yes, that will be all for this episode. Make sure to leave any comments down below if you want to see certain screens or other driver stats or something like that. Make sure to leave a like to the video as well. These videos take a bit longer to make than the normal ones. But that being said, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. It would mean the world to me. Yeah, leave any thoughts, feedback, suggestions down in the comment section below, and I'll see you for episode 3.